everyone, and welcome back to the Stanley Parable. As always, we're starting in the menu in case some interesting stuff happens. Joining me, yep, we got sliders, Leo. Joining me is Leo. Say hi, bud.
Hello, it's your favorite fictional co-host, as usual.
And please adjust the slider until the computer is barely visible. Let's make it completely invisible. Now we'll put it right back in the middle. Please adjust the slider until the dog and cat are friends. Oh, what if I choose not to make them friends? Nah, we don't want to do that. Not to the animals. Please adjust the slider until the number 5 becomes the number 9. No, I saw a 9. What does it say if we choose something wrong?
I don't know.
I mean, that's technically a 9. Please adjust the slider until you stop adjusting the slider. Which of the two made-up words below is most appealing to you? Akabukadingal or Scrumtush? Neither. You don't get a slider. Please don't adjust the slider. I'm adjusting it. Do you know what time it is right now? Yes. Is the time that it is right now the correct time? No. What is time anyways? No. Is there anything about yourself that you haven't told me? Oh my God, tons. Help. No. Will you come back to visit me? Yeah, we have more videos to make. You gonna let me in? Ah, there we go. Quote unquote Stanley Parable 2. Alright, so essentially, you said what we're doing now is getting all the endings again, but with the bucket?
Mm-hmm. All new dialogue.
Were gone. What could it mean?
I mean, minus
Stanley
the
decided
default
to go to
dialogue,
the meeting
but
room. Perhaps
once you pick the bucket up, you get all kinds of new dialogue.
No matter how hard Stanley
The bucket
looked,
should be in, like, one of the early offices. The second room?
Yep.
Okay, so not the one right outside my office.
No, it will always be in that exact spot, right in front of you.
Oh, right here.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
So all of the endings again. Including going out the window?
Yep.
Okay. Or did I get up from this side? Yep, there it is. Alright, we're out the window.
Whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear.
Damn it! We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self.
The bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many years it spent dwelling on the actions it might have taken to curb the madness and the decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket!
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
I solved it.
Said the bucket. Not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young
Bucket
back
has a whole
then and
backstory,
could not
huh?
conceive the ramifications of... No! Stanley screamed even louder this time.
This is stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like...
Its fangs glistening like... Did the bucket kill me?
God, Stanley.
Oh, I killed the
You
bucket.
did it. You saved us from the bucket. Thank God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power. Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come, let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.
I killed the bucket. But much like all things, the
All
bucket
his
will
comrades were
return.
gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him.
There are a lot of endings.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered
Well,
the
new
door
dialogue
of
for
life.
this too. What's that, bucket? What? I'm listening. The right door, you say? Okay.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
All right, bucket, you might be insightful, but we're moving on.
Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Not the meeting room, bucket? Okay.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Hey, there's a new path here. This is completely new. Oh, because there's a collectible here.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Okay. I forget what's down here even. Oh, yes. The recording.
Okay, this is day number 295, tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense.
I think the
There's
bucket's
no
a parasite.
explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get me. What's that? Who's there?
Interesting.
Oh shit, I was muted for so long. Great. You missed all my wonderful dialogue.
Yep, didn't hear a word you said for a while.
Yep.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
I think the bucket's evil.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
Come on, bucket.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
Nope,
No,
bucket was wrong.
Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. A cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley
You want me
did
to
not
go the whole way,
question why
Bucket?
or how this
I'm
bucket
really
was
bad at
speaking.
listening.
It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Except ignoring it. Fuck you, Bucket.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, "No buckets past this point." Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Okay, narrator.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
Sure looks like a bucket.
Is this a bucket?
It might be a pail, though.
Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Is he gonna, like, come up with something no matter what I select?
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
Maybe.
Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket?
I just want to hear what he keeps coming up with.
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
Oh, I thought I was going to select green, didn't you? .
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
I mean, you could bucket stuff into it.
Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one. Is this a bucket?
It's a tractor again. Of course it's a bucket.
Correct. This is a bucket. Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
No!
Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now.
Thank God
It's
we're not
delightful
buckets.
to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Okay, so now that he had me go through the what is and is not a bucket, can I go through that door with the bucket?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I don't remember.
Warmth spread through Stanley's
Well, we'll
eyes.
try, and if
With the
not,
bucket
we'll
in his
just
arms
reset.
Again, he was home. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes, good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top.
No,
There's something up
we
there I
won't.
need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket
really hope
had
we can
spoken
go
to
through
him,
this door
and
now
he
that we did our bucket
unthinkingly did
training.
whatever the bucket asked.
Otherwise, I gotta sit through all this again.
No, stop. Look there
Nope.
on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket?
Alright, begin the game again. Because, no, we're not taking the bucket through there, apparently.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No, Stanley did not.
No,
said the bucket.
don't go
What
to
do you
the
have to
meeting
show me,
room.
Bucket?
Go
We're
somewhere
going your
else.
way this
The
time.
cargo lift, yeah, good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
The bucket is my friend, narrator.
In here,
Said the bucket.
go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
What dark room? The room's not dark. What dark room? What dark room? Bucket! What dark room? This one? How did you see that, Bucket?
Now pick up the phone.
Said, "Whoa, hold on. Why did you unplug the phone? Were you trying to resist the bucket's orders? Stanley, I was joking. Obviously, the bucket isn't talking to you and telling you to do things. Buckets can't talk. It was a joke. Don't you get the joke? It's funny, Stanley. A talking bucket. Can't you see? Oh, goodness. I must have really bungled up the delivery if you actually took me seriously. Where did I mess up the joke? Should I have paused for longer or spoken quicker? Comedic timing is so difficult. I wish I were better at it. But there isn't exactly an instructional video on comedy that one can watch to fully... Oh, wait, yes, there is. It's sitting right here. Let's take a look.
What is comedic timing? What is comedic timing? How does it work? How long should it last? How can it be used to effectively silence your political enemies? And more importantly, can it be taught in its entirety within 90 seconds? Thankfully, the answer to all of these questions is yes. Let's dive deeper. If you've ever told a joke or made someone laugh, in all likelihood, you did it while standing 50 to 80 centimeters from them in a room of no more than 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with one of your arms raised straight upward at a 15-degree angle from your body. These are the optimal conditions for good comedic timing. To begin the joke, start by stating and spelling your name. Next, provide a brief synopsis of the joke, including the specific times at which the recipient of the joke will laugh, and then spell out your name a second time. With these steps complete, it's time to begin the humor. Speak the entire joke in no more than 18 seconds and no less than 13 and a half, pausing only for bathroom breaks when necessary. When the joke has concluded, it is customary to inform your listener that the joke is over by declaring in your loudest possible voice, "I'm Dunny with the funny." Let's practice screaming, "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
I'm Dunny with the funny.
I'm Johnny with the funny!
This saying is a perfect example of expectations management, which is the cornerstone of good comedy. Finally, it's time to hand out surveys. Collecting hard data from your audience on how rapt they were throughout the joke is the only way to grow or learn as a comedian. An effective
I'm gonna
survey
print
should
some
be no
surveys
less
for my
than 10
coworkers
pages
tomorrow.
long and should include the same question reprinted several
Do
times. Just to ensure the survey taker is actually paying attention and not simply filling in answers at random. And that's all there is. With these strategies at your disposal, you'll have audiences doubled over in laughter and even tripled over in laughter in no time at all.
I need a stand-up comedian to end their bit with "I'm Dunny with the funny" now.
After all, with each of us needed on the front lines of the war to fight the 12-legged invaders who threaten our very existence, and to very luckily die in a hailstorm of bullets and mandibles. All of us must be prepared to give our lives to this noble cause,
They'd be like, why
just
are
as
you
our
doing
children
this?
must do after us, and their children after them. Godspeed, and may Earth reign supreme.
Hey, goodness, this video is a little outdated, isn't it? Well,
For
no
Super
matter.
Earth.
I think the fundamentals
Yeah,
of proper
right.
comedic timing are still as relevant
Democracy.
today as they were back then. So with that in mind, I believe the only way forward is for us to return to the two doors and walk through all of this again, so I can try telling my story with more appropriate comedic delivery. Come along, let's head back.
Boy, are you in for something, narrator. You want me to head back to the double doors? Oh, you bastard. I see. You outsmarted me. This time.
I can feel it. This time, I'm really going to nail the delivery. You'll be in stitches. A talking bucket, you'll say? How ridiculous. How absurd. What a hilarious concept. The king of comedy. That's what you'll call me. Thank goodness we have the instructional video. Otherwise, who knows where we'd be right now. Well, I wouldn't be the king of comedy, that's for sure. The bucket spoke to Stanley.
The bucket spoke.
The bucket spoke. Oh, I'll figure it out on the fly. No need to overthink things. Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? No. What's going on? There were supposed to be several rooms leading up to this. There was supposed to be a build-up to this point, a dramatic display of remarkable comedic wit which culminates in this scene with the phone. But now the timing's completely off. The joke will never land. Well, not the way it was meant to. And it's all my fault. I must have forgotten that the phone room comes immediately after the two doors room. What an egregious mistake. I've made a fool of myself. I don't deserve the title of King of Comedy. I'm nothing. I'm not even the lowliest joke-telling whelp. I think I need to go back and rewatch that instructional video again. Surely that will help me improve my... Here we go. You ready? When Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two open doors, they entered the door on the left. What? We're back at the phone already? No. Here we go. You ready?
How many times can I go through there before I break the game? Or is it just going to keep repeating?
Entered the door on the left.
You're muted, by the way, potentially. I'm not sure. I'm currently trying to find my
We're back at the phone already.
tracker.
No.
I think it's just going to keep repeating. So we'll go through the door on the left to make the narrator
When
happy.
Stanley and the bucket came to a set of two
Open the fucking doors, narrator.
They entered the door on the left. No. You were supposed to go through the door on the right, leading back to the phone. Did you not even look at the instructional video? I think this is all covered very clearly. There's no way I can make the comedic timing work now. It's done. The joke is completely done and over. It's all your fault, Stanley. I'm going to be ridiculed in the community of other joke writers. I'm going to be shamed at every one of our meetings from now on. All because you couldn't watch a simple video and take a hint. Are you proud of yourself for bringing me down, Stanley? Are you proud?
Yes.
Stanley, you love the bucket so much it's like you... it's as though all of your other most prized possessions pale in comparison. Yes. Well, let me try that again, Stanley. I heard that you are pale with shame over how unabashedly in love with a bucket you are. No? Still not... Is it delivery? Pale with shame. Pale with shame? Pale... What's another word to describe a bucket? Stanley, this bucket is so metal, I think I saw it playing guitar. No. We're getting away from making fun of Stanley's obsession with the bucket, which was the whole point of this. I'm no good at these jokes.
Be right back.
I need more instructional videos. That's exactly what it is. That's what will make me the king of comedy again. More instructional videos. Let's see.
Poor narrator.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. The good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together. Stanley
Time to
clutched
jump to
the
her
bucket
desk.
tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No,
Nope, bucket's wrong.
Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
Yes, deeply touching. I guess we gotta go actually
All
pick
of
up
his
the
co-workers
phone.
were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went together would be perfect. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
No, it
Stanley
never
had
is,
felt the
narrator.
bucket calling to him, telling him
never
that the
is.
employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Yep.
Now pick up the...
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Oh, hey, there's the bucket. Hello, Stanley. It's me, your bucket. To take me to work with you? Sure.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head. Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Back to work.
Well, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
They can travel more than liquids.
Don't listen to the loud man. Press triangle to go back home.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Press square to ignore anyone in your life except for me. Sure, Bucket.
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley? Home again.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more,
You want to watch TV together, friend?
Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Press circle to get water. Press circle to relive the same day with me over and over. Sure.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Go home, to work, to home, to work, to home.
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Weird. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley.
No, it's my bucket.
I need it. Give
no,
it to
it's
me
my
now.
bucket.
Give it or I'll...
It's my bucket, narrator. You can't have it. Okay. What button do I push, Bucket? No buttons, you say?
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a good bucket, a strong bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
Nope.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was no...
Nope.
Never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to
There's
the
another
opposite
bucket.
door. Oh, good Stanley.
If I'm being honest, I forget what's down here, too.
I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Hey, it's all our old friends. Like the
You see,
line.
your friends
and the
I
baby.
are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're
Broom
carrying around
closet.
everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
That's what I want. You hated the Adventure Line, narrator.
Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
It's the Adventure Line music. I love the Adventure Line music.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
I don't remember that dialogue.
Back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
Is it the bucket? I'm not giving the bucket up, narrator. The bucket, Adventureline, and I are best friends.
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
No.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Nope.
Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend.
Goodbye.
For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Bucket Destroyer was okay. I wouldn't say magnificent. Is there a different ending if I actually destroy the bucket?
The meeting room. Yes, that's where everyone would be. Stanley just needed to get to the meeting room and...
Still have an issue.
The embrace of an old friend. A weathered companionship that stands the test of time. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door. This was not the correct way to the meeting room.
We'll try.
But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
No, the bucket was wrong.
The bucket was wrong.
We have to destroy it.
Stanley
It's
took the door
evil.
on his left to go back. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
We have to destroy it. It's evil. The bucket must die.
Oh, good, Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley.
My
We've
best
come
friend,
together here because
Steve.
we care about you very
My other
much.
best friend,
It's this
my
bucket
wife,
you carry
Tiffany.
around everywhere.
my third best friend,
Isn't even from
computer.
the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content.
Seat.
We're
Don't forget
the ones
Seat.
that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes.
We
that's
could
what
make the
fans
Adventure
want.
Line
Let's
go
do it.
somewhere new. But we've seen where the Adventure Line goes, so... This is our life now. Back in our old friend, the broom closet. Broom closet. Home sweet home. Alright, he doesn't give a shit. Alright, hey, bye, friends. I'm gonna follow the Adventure Line to destroy the evil bucket.
Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
Yes, play the music. Adventureline, the musical, Adventureline, we go.
This is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
It's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
Yes, it's the bucket, I know.
Stanley. We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast
Just
all
get
along.
on with it. We have to kill the bucket narrator before it takes control of me
Can you guess
again.
what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the
It won't let
machine.
me throw the bucket in. I'm trying.
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket.
I'm trying.
I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is
Well,
all...
that was a waste of time. Oh, hey, it's the alternate
All
ending.
his co-workers were gone. The bucket
Or
made
alternate
Stanley
start
into
point,
a better
rather.
man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps,
One of,
he would
two.
become both of those things. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest
Right.
and entered the door. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket.
There's a
calling to
second
him,
alternate
telling him
beginning?
that the employee lounge
Yeah,
was
there's
simply
one
the
of two
place to
offices
be.
that you can
And
be in.
here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section
Bye,
and
maintenance.
walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Mission status.
Oh, that's for finding the Stanley figurines.
Oh, stairs. Something to do with stairs. Something both red and blue. Nearby a fireplace. A private but smelly place for an important person. Boss's office?
I wonder what that could be.
There will be a reward for finding them all.
Big Lee's.
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket. It belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends?
Fuck
That your
you, broom
relationship
closet!
is purely superficial and convenient? That your life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I never. Go on, Stanley.
Can I take
Lay
the
into
duct
it.
tape?
Really tell the broom closet off for its
Wrench?
demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and evolved over the years. Let him have it.
I and the bucket are friends, broom closet. Fuck you.
Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for all. Here we go. There.
Property of
Now
Stanley.
it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
My bucket broom closet, you
All right,
can't have
I've got
it.
a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see? I feel that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the thing you're holding is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this sticker.
I feel like this would have been handy in the one ending where I did the "Is this a bucket?" training.
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies. Easily the most childish such room I've ever been in. I'll see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
Nope. Gonna sit down and wait it out, narrator. Till you reset me. And the bucket. Does he reset me in the bucket?
I don't think he does. That's just
Really?
kind of like a bonus ending, and it doesn't mention manual restart. It shows that you can continue to the stairs.
What if I manually reset?
Then you just start reset.
Oh, so it won't do anything special for me?
Not as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Also, at this point, I'm using a flowchart to keep track of the endings and your
Coming to a
options.
staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley
They have a name.
What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
That's not what they're called, narrator. You're bad at this.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be silent now, bucket.
Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong.
But it says
Surely
my-
no good would come from this. Who
Where'd my
knows what
bucket
sorts
go?
of bizarre
Where's my bucket?
hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come
None
to
of
me,
you are right.
Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from.
I did
The
not
real
freeze.
bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked
Nope.
out.
Bucket.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was.
He didn't have his bucket.
Had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Backflipped all the way to work. That might be my favorite ending thus far. Hell yeah, my life kicks ass. Oh hey, the phone. Should we get the bucket before we pick it up?
Yeah, do it.
This is a recorded message scheduled either by
Too late.
or person in your place of work.
Not everyone is so lucky to have a bucket, but Stanley is a very lucky fellow.
If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
Come, bucket.
Phrasing.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Good, another one.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
And went in the bathroom.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness
the
that you get
projector
from
told
seeing
me.
a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me. Stepping
Hey, back we go. Is it already marked off now? No, it is not, but it will be. Trust the completionist instinct. We could go in our office. We couldn't go in our office before. Bucket, we have to escape. We have to escape. They're trapping us here, Bucket. It's just you and me against the world. The narrator's quiet because he's plotting. What can I say? What can I possibly say to get Stanley to come back? I have to say something, thought the narrator, but he did not talk, for he was quiet, which was fucking weird, because he talks for everything. Stanley proceeded up the steps, thinking, fuck you, narrator. Yes, good, good. Goodbye, office. We've come to escape, the bucket and I. Bye, door. You have to go on without me, Bucket. I can't leave. But you can seek a better life. You can do this, Bucket. I know it's hard, but I need you to do this. Go on. Live free for both of us. I know, friend. Just go on. Go on. Don't look back. Just go. Shh. It'll be okay. Yeah. It'll be okay. Bye, Bucket. Goodbye, friend. I'll miss you. You're my best friend. I don't know if I can go on without the bucket.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the
there
meeting.
it is.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
There's one more computer. Can you remember where the last one is?
A trace of his co-workers.
Hey, the bucket's gone. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the
I can't live without the bucket.
Room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first.
No, he wanted to go to the only place he can commit suicide because without the bucket, Stanley's nothing.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Okay, we'll end it soon. We'll get the heaven ending with the bucket.
It's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago.
Which means I gotta find the one more computer.
In his eagerness to prove that he...
Yeah, nobody can tell him what to do, blah, blah, blah. We actually got that ending before. I just need to get the bucket. And find the last computer.
Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes?
Yeah.
Days?
1,
centuries?
2, and 4
Did something crucial happen while my senses
Replacement
returned?
bucket.
He made an... And try not to lose this one too, you dolt.
It's in the office?
Yeah. From what I'm looking at on the flow chart, it says 1, 2, and 4 are in the offices, and then 3 is in the.
Yeah, I already got the.
Yeah.
Oh, then maybe I have the last.
Wait, isn't it Stanley?
Oh, I gotta go back to his? Well, that means in order to get the doors to open back up, I gotta go to the boss's office.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Yeah, because you already left the...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, maybe that's why they did that, so that the door opens so you can get all the user inputs and then go back with the bucket.
Oh, that was the private, smelly place with the bathroom. Huh.
That's why I laughed because I remember that one. I was like...
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Yeah, because we got this one.
Yeah. Yeah, the 4th one is in Stanley's office, I remember now.
Damn it. Close, fucker.
Stepping in.
Okay. But I couldn't get into his office with the bucket until I came here.
Which is, like, I guess that makes sense for them to, like, why, like, you're like, huh, the office is open. I'm like, now that makes sense.
Yeah. Because we need a way to get back there with the bucket. Not open now.
Oh.
So that means there's a computer somewhere. Potentially.
Oh, maybe you can't get the heaven ending with no. Input all 4 user inputs on CPUs and user input in Stanley's office. Okay, so now there is one more computer.
Where?
I don't remember where it is.
Alright, well, we gotta restart. I know, it's Stanley's computer. We're gonna go into heaven without the bucket, but we can just begin the game again and go grab the bucket, and I think his room won't close now necessarily.
Just a step through this
No,
door,
fuck, it
Stanley
did.
thought to himself, that's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it. It takes a lot of humility to carry a bucket so magnificent. Stanley checked his ego and then
Maybe you can't take it to heaven.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Oh! If you get the blue room again, look for room 426.
Okay.
Or is that a 5? No, yeah, 426.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the
Is
bucket
that
walked
how I get the bucket
upstairs
in
to
there?
the boss's office.
So, will the door be open? That's the curiosity.
Stepping
If it's not open, we're done with the stream. And we'll get heaven with the bucket next time. If it is open, we get heaven with the bucket now.
Sorry, I missed that.
Oh.
I just was talking with Izzy.
Oh, I said if the door to his office is open, we get heaven with the bucket now. If not, it's the end of the stream. It is not open. So.
It is feasible, I just don't know how. Maybe try again the next time next Tuesday when you start the game off.
Yeah, because we have heaven. We just can't with the bucket right now. Unless we...
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new
Okay,
space he
so
felt safe in,
we'll
that he
end the
would
stream
never
here,
leave
and
it
we'll
again in his life.
we'll figure out the
Stanley cradled
whole
the
bucket thing
gently
next time, because
protective, yet
it's not
delicate,
having any of it.
assertive, yet compassionate.
So, for anybody watching, whether it be now or in the future, whether you watch the whole thing, bits and pieces, skimmed around, skipped to the end, whatever the case may be, know that I always appreciate your views. I appreciate you, the viewer. So, thank you for watching, and we will see you all in the next episode. Bye.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
What Leo said, everyone. Alright, next time. Bye.